Welcome back to another Zero Context Patreon stock advertising my Patreon content one out of context theater moment at a time. I finished up the last of Unraveling Oliver before jumping into the conclusion of the beautiful series, Almost Beautiful. Father Daniel explained that my father's estate had been left entirely to Judith and Philip. I wasn't mentioned in the will. Judith had subsequently given Father Daniel a box containing some gold holy medals that she'd asked him to pass on to me. I examined them in their box. They were engraved with crucifixes. If that ain't the participation trophy for being that man's son, I don't know what is. He was, quite obviously, gay. I think my biggest problem with this book is the way that it feels like it's written by a first grader. It says stuff like, Michael was obviously gay over and over, without actually bothering to show Michael being flamboyant enough for everybody to be like, he's a little fruity, ain't he? Now that the truth about Oliver's character had been revealed, I had been forced to consider if somehow Oliver caused Laura's breakdown. Knowing what I know from Veronique's point of view, I can assure you that there was a lot going on in Laura's mind. Oliver being terrible to her was only half of it. I gave my reply much consideration and thought that maybe the family had a right to the truth, but what good would it have done them? I knew from my friend in Bordeaux that the baby had been handed over for adoption, but Laura had not kept in touch with the intervening months. Even if Laura's family knew, even if they wanted the child, it would have been too late. I wrote a letter telling some truth, but withholding the bigger truth. I was shocked to hear the news. I knew nothing of her miscarriage. Laura was a wonderful person who was deeply missed by all at Chateau d'Aigues. She was a fantastic help to me personally in getting over my own loss. I told them to be proud of such a brave and beautiful girl. I sent my condolences to the family and passed on my best wishes to Oliver, too. I understand why she did it, but as DNA testing and paternity tests became more and more of a thing, it would have been easy enough to prove that the child was actually Oliver's. Although, let's not kid ourselves here. The child was better off being so removed from the taint that is Oliver. That man is a menace to society. Let's hope the child inherited none of the traits. My father, affectionate. Do you see that space between the end of the word and the question mark? I feel like the editor had long since given up at this point. This chapter is somehow worse than the others. Short, simple sentences that feel like they were written by a first grader. Chapter 21, Moya. I can't wait to read about this desperate woman continuously throwing herself at Oliver and pretending like her relationship with him wasn't the most toxic pile of duty you've ever encountered. I'm serious, the Chernobyl dogs have less toxic poos. Ellis insisted that he was currently working on a book, but that he was finding this one particularly difficult. It was to be his first adult novel, but he claimed to be suffering from writer's block. Yeah, writer's block because he suddenly realized that he can't steal from somebody else anymore, and if he were to release the garbage he undoubtedly wrote, it would reveal him as the fraud he is. And then Michael called me to say that she was dead. I tried to have a reaction to this. I tried to cry. I expected guilt or anger, but instead there was a strange emptiness, another void to add to the one already at the core of my soul, as if such a thing exists. I had rejected her and hurt her, but I felt nothing, except that she was one less reminder of that summer. This is a cold, uncaring man. But then again, that's what this entire book has been about. Oh, look, a man. Look at how sociopathic that he is. However, he spins the story about his imagined biological mother who pushed him on a swing, who left when he was 3, and then his dad remarried. This is mainly because he doesn't want to invite pain into the life of this woman who has somehow escaped the family curse simply because she was abandoned in a nunnery when she was a few months old. The entire thing feels like a massive case of too little, too late. Look at me, right here, I said, using my index and middle fingers to point to my own eyes. It won't change my mind, Trev. I'm so happy, I promise. My main problem with this, as it typically is in romance novels, is that they've only known each other for a few months at this point. They're young and stupid, with almost nothing in common, even over the course of the first book that broke up and had some really toxic fights. I still stand by my opinion from the first book that this relationship won't last if it is about real people, and said the only thing keeping them together is the author commanding it. Being loved by Abby reminded me of both of these things, feeling so calm, soft, and quiet, like when I was leaning against Mom in the kitchen, listening to her hum that beautiful song, and the unshakable, unexplainable feeling when I didn't understand that my time with her could end at any moment. Dude straight up admitted that he's viewing Abby as a replacement for his dead mom, which I suppose is fine considering that Abby's attraction to Travis seems to stem from the fact that the only man in her life before this was her terrible father. Travis, Shipley said, how are you going to pay the rent now? Any money Adam had on him from the fight was confiscated, so we're out what we would have been paid. That would have taken us through the summer, and we have no more money coming in. I get a fucking job, Travis said, leaning back. America wrinkled her nose. Doing what? All you've ever done for money is throw punches. Circling back to a problem that I had in the first book, why the hell is he even attending college? What's his major? The dude has no long-term plans beyond the next fight. You know it's bad when even the people closest to him point out that he's a useless sack with no life skills. She sniffed. I'm such an idiot, Abby. I don't know what I was thinking, she whispered. Should I apologize to him? No, I said, keeping my voice low. I know you're worried about me. I know that, but Travis, you can't say things like that in front of him. He's still worried this isn't real or that I'm going to change my mind. I'm just as surprised as you are, Mare, but I'm really happy, I promise. How do you know your relationship is toxic when even your friends are walking on eggshells around your man, too afraid of setting him off? I'd pretty much had my pick of females on campus, sure, but I wasn't stupid enough to think any of them saw me as husband material. I'd never admit it, but it was embarrassing that everyone knew I didn't deserve my wife, and even though I couldn't deny the truth, I also couldn't help but feel butthurt about it. Travis worked hard to create his reputation. He doesn't get to be upset about it. She's going to leave you, Travis. Abby's going to realize what she's done, the new is going to wear off, and she's going to leave you, and I want to see that arrogant smile wiped right off of your face when she's done. It's not so much that I want Abby to end up with Parker, mainly because of gestures broadly to Parker acting like he owns Abby. But I'd love it if Abby realized that she did, metaphorically, marry her father, realizes that Travis is terrible and that he's never actually going to change, and leaves him. No, Chuck ruins everything. Brandon Kyle is the owner and he's a real piece of shit. How so? His wife is pregnant, like, ready to pop pregnant. He's fucking the receptionist, two of the trainers, the clients. So? He's human garbage, Paige. I don't want to work for him. He brags about it all the time. He's talking like he wants to pit me out to the female clientele who earned that throat punch the first hour. It's not that. It's just something I don't want to deal with. Brandon even said it himself. It's a meat market. He's not my pimp, and the women at the gym are used to the way he runs things. I'm seriously starting to worry about the mental health of the author. Like, I'm certain that there's women out there who'd enjoy sleeping with every random Tom, Richard, and Harry that cross their paths. But most women, when we go to the gym, we want to work out and go back to our lives. We're not there to ogle men or to be ogled. Co-eds were barely covered in their metallic rompers and micro-minis, twirling their hair as they talked to whatever silly boy was going to buy them a drink. I locked eyes with my husband a few times, watching him, watching me, noticing the four women purposefully ignoring his wedding ring as they shamelessly flirted with him. Once again, the misogyny is coming from inside the house. Travis gets to be a slut and nobody bats an eye, but these nameless, faceless women do the same thing and they're homewreckers and terrible and... When they get back, they're going to... Dad choked and then cleared his throat. They're going to set his bones and then cast his arm. They warned him that it's already starting to heal, but if he waited, it would be harder to set, but he won't leave her. How long ago was this accident? A month? Bones will eventually heal on their own, but not within hours. I don't get it. To be frank, I'm at a loss for why you would marry someone like him. I think the worst part about Parker is that he literally knew Abby for a week. Then she ditched him twice. Once in the middle of a freaking date for Travis. Why the hell is he so freaking hung up over Abby? I told you they were scared. Dad said he didn't want us getting too serious too fast. I understand their concern, but it sucks. You know you're getting old when you are 100% on the side of the father in this argument. Like, you barely know this guy. Don't throw your life away simply because this is the first time you're away from your parents and you're horny. He'd made so many strides to change, yet I couldn't help but feel frustrated for being asked to leave the Red for the second time in as many weeks. Travis was jealous enough when I was just his girlfriend. Now that I was his wife, men would try to buy me drinks when in front of him, make lewd comments on my body, or even, like that night, pat my ass. The level of restraint he'd shown was nothing short of miraculous, but every man had his limit. For sure that this is some strange alternate universe where every single woman is a slut who chases after literally anything with a rooster and men are creepy wannabe rapists. Like, yes, some men would do this. That number would also probably increase if she was at a bar. But not every single guy within a 5-mile radius is going to drop whatever they're doing and hit on her, especially when it's obvious that she's there with her husband. Betty Rogan and Betty Linder. They smell like mothballs and have more wrinkles than a starved elephant, but they pay double so that they can work out together and ogle the guys. They'll love you, start you off decent money-wise too. They'll ask you to lunch for your first day. Go with them. They'll pay you your rent for May. I'd do it if it meant my rent was getting paid. He felt guilty enough that I was going to play poker again, this time to save his ass instead of Mick's. Horace, the zombie horse, heard to say that it's oddly telling that she has to clarify which man in her life that she needs to save with poker. The fact that there's more than one man in her life who is freaking terrible enough to warrant this. She just gave you, I looked down, $500? Yup, he rolled up the bills and stuffed them back into his pocket. So where am I taking you tonight? We should probably save that for Pigeon. Let me be a man and take my wife out to celebrate, please. Look, it's okay to go out to eat every once in a while, but that's their problem. Travis is so focused on the here and now that he's completely and utterly overlooking tomorrow. This is why you're struggling to pay your frickin' bills, dude. Adam made bail. We need to find a way to talk to him. Discreetly. When? She blushed. A few hours ago. I've sort of been checking obsessively. I thought for a moment, trying to process what that meant and what to do next. That's why they were there tonight. Adam made bail, and they're hoping I'd go straight to him. What if he doesn't want to go anywhere near me? Or worse, what if he made a deal with them? Again, why are the feds interested in the Fight Club and not investigating why 100-ish students were trapped inside of a building as it burned down? There were literally hundreds of witnesses who would have put Travis at the scene. It's stupid that they're trying to pretend like he wasn't there. I get it. I've earned the reputation I have. Owning a gym is kind of like working at Hooters. The better you flirt, the more money you make. Once again, most women I know would never set foot in a place like this. This man is vile and disgusting, and I'm pretty sure most women that I know would avoid that place like the plague. Like, have fun with your gym rat STIs. I'm gonna go work out at this women-only gym instead. Do you remember? She asked. She was terrified. She thought she was going to die. You pushed her towards the guy who ran the fights. Adam, you pushed her towards him because you knew he knew the way out, and you told him to help her. And you know what? He did. He helped her and 16 more people to safety when all he wanted to do was run. And it was just a few seconds, but you, Travis Mad Dog Maddox, saved my baby sister's life. As I've said, Abby and Travis can pretend like they were in Vegas as much as they'd like, but literally none of that is going to stop the hundreds of witnesses who could place both of them at the scene. This has got to be the stupidest effing plot that I've ever had the misfortune to read. I seriously do not understand the point of any of it. I need you to pick up 4 hours today. I have a couple of clients I need you to cover. I tapped at a reply. My brother's in the hospital. Ask Chuck. Chuck's sick. Then ask someone else. That reply was as diplomatic as I could be. Knowing Brendan and considering the time, he was probably holed up at a hotel with some random chick so his wife wouldn't find out he was cheating. Again. I wasn't going to leave Trenton and Dad alone so he could get laid, but my job was finally paying the bills. Keeping it meant walking a fine line with Brendan. How about I ask your wife? Did I call Brandon's interest in Abby or what? This is going to be thrown in for some extra drama when things start to slow down. Ugh. It wasn't until I married Travis that I realized why I found it impossible to love Jessie. I was meant to be Mrs. Maddox. I'm usually down for the entire "it was destiny" thing, but in this super toxic book, I want to make sure that everybody understands that, hey, it's okay if the two of you didn't work out as a couple. It doesn't mean that it wasn't destiny. Sometimes people simply don't work out, and that's perfectly okay. I might have explained to Ricky and Justin who my dad was. You know, who he associates with. They owed me a lot of money, Trev. They know who I was raised around. Colin actually planted the seed, which was kind of accidental genius on his part, but that's beside the point. They're too scared to say anything again. Once again, they work for the school paper, which also employs all the other journalism majors. What the hell is she going to do when literally anybody halfway competent starts to put the pieces together? Somebody that she can't blackmail into doing her bidding. If we weren't on camera anywhere except for the airport and they can't place us anywhere else, we can say we were anywhere we want prior to the airport. No cameras, except for all the cameras on campus, all the cameras on the freeway, all the cameras on the residential neighborhoods. This book doesn't take place in 1998. The world is full of cameras now. Big Brother is watching you. If you like my content, you can become a member on Patreon. Now you can join for free and get access to all of my free stuff. For only $1 a month, you can have access to so much, including the context for this month's commentary and more. I'll see you next month, guys.